kind, creative, and courageous artists. We have an amazing project to work on today. We are going to be working with primary colors, blue and yellow, to mix to create the secondary color, green. We will also be adding even more yellow and more blue, more of our primary colors, to our secondary color that we create to make tertiary or intermediate colors. When you mix yellow and blue and get a nice perfect green color, if you add a little bit more blue, you're going to take that green and make it feel a little colder and cooler, a little more dark, to create a blue-green color. When you take that nice perfect secondary green color and add a little bit more yellow, which has a warmer, hotter feel to it, you create a warm green or a yellow green. We will be using blue, yellow, or green to mix blue, green, yellow, green, and to create an illusion of form in our work of art today. Form is something that is three-dimensional, such as a sculpture, but the illusion of form is when you have a flat work of art and it looks like the object in the work of art is actually a form. We are going to do all of this, creating an illusion of form, mixing secondary and tertiary or intermediate colors by creating a painting of a pear. Pears are one of my favorite things to create works of art about because they're so fun. It's not a perfect circle, it's not a perfect oval, they're kind of lumpy and bumpy, they can have cool stems and leaves, and when they're not quite ripe, they're a little bit more green, and when they get ripe, sometimes they're yellow, maybe they even get a red or orange spot on them. They're very interesting to draw, and when you're learning about new art techniques, it helps to focus on an object that you're familiar with. For this project, you're going to need a piece of paper. Thicker paper such as cardstock or watercolor paper is best, a pencil. You'll need blue paint, yellow paint, and 2 Q-tips or swabs. We're using this to create dots in our work of art, because not only are we learning about mixing colors and creating illusion of forms, we're also creating a specific art style called Pointillism. Your pear will look so interesting because it's going to be created out of dots. The first thing we're going to do is set up our paper to draw our pear because we want a base drawing so we know where to add our dots. The first thing you're going to do is draw a bigger circle towards the bottom of your paper. That is going to be the bottom half of our pear. If you imagine a pear, you might think of it more as an oval shape than a circle shape, but really it has this kind of curvy shape to it. And you can generally see a bigger circle that makes the bottom of the pear and a smaller circle that makes the top of the pear. Don't put your circle all the way sitting on the bottom of your page. You want a little bit of space from the bottom edge of your paper. You always want your objects to look like they're sitting in your work of art, not just sitting on the edge of it. We have the bottom of our pear drawn, and look at how I draw my circle with a few lines. You'll go in and clean up those lines. It is nearly impossible to draw a perfect circle with just one line. Go over it a few times, draw very lightly with your pencil so that you can erase your lines. Now I'm going to add my smaller circle. It's overlapping, or it's kind of on top of my larger circle, and that's going to help create that curve look to our pear. If you notice, I have a lot of space at the top. That's because I want to add a stem for my pear, and I want to add a leaf coming off of it. So we're going to have a little stem for the leaf, and then it's going to be these 2 curving lines that kind of meet at a point. Now we want to kind of clean up our drawing. We have a loose drawing of our pear. Let's bring it all together. We're going to trace around the top edge of this little circle, curve in, and then trace back around this outer edge. And this is when you can outline those kind of loose, sketchy lines to create a more solid line. All right, so I have my 2 curved lines connecting my circles, and now I'm going to go in with my eraser and erase all the lines inside this that I no longer need. All right, look at that. My pear looks so great. I love how that turned out. And I like that it's at an angle. When you have objects that are more at a diagonal than straight up and down or directly in the middle of your paper, it makes it more interesting for the work of art. Now we're going to start adding our paint. You're going to take your Q-tip or your cotton swab. You're going to dip it in that yellow. And we're adding yellow dots to fill up our pear. Overlap them, go on top of each other, fill up that space with these yellow dots. When you create a work of art using dots, it is called pointillism. And there are some very famous artists and very famous works of art that are pointillism works of art. It just creates a very interesting texture and design to the painting. And we will not be blending our paint together with a paintbrush. We are going to be blending it together using these dots. I'm going to work on filling up my pear. Let's see how quickly I can complete this. Look at my beautiful pear. It's looking amazing. Now we're going to take our Q-tip or swab, we're going to dip it in the blue paint, and we are going to add blue to the edge of our pear. The reason we're doing this at one edge is because if you look at a form, and if the light is hitting that object, you are going to see a shadow on one side and a highlight on the other. And that's what makes it look like a three-dimensional object, or an object that's actually taking up space. When we're creating a flat work of art and we want to create the illusion of form, adding shadows and highlights really help create that illusion of form. So we're going to add blue on one side of this pear with our dots, our Pointillism dots. And you can see where the blue is already starting to mix in with the yellow. We're starting to get some green in there. Now I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to go back over the blue starting on this edge, because I want to blend this a little more evenly and create a warmer green color. When a green is more yellow, it's a yellow green, and that is called a tertiary or an intermediate color. I'm going to take my yellow, I'm going to go in a little bit more in the blue, and you can see where the blue mixed in with the green more, you have more of a blue-green color, another tertiary or intermediate color. That's looking so great. And if you need to wipe off your yellow Q-tip, you can clean it off a little bit on your paper so you don't have green kind of mixing into your yellow part. That looks great. When you look at your work of art, if you don't see a line of blue on the edge, I want you to go back one more time and just darken up that edge. We want the darkest blue on the edge of your pear to create that illusion of form. All right, now we're going to take our yellow and we're going to completely fill up our leaf and stem with our dots. Just like I did with my pear the first time, I'm now going to add blue, but this time I'm going to completely cover my stem and leaf with blue because we want this to be a little bit darker than our yellow-green pear. Now I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to go back on top just on the leaf, because a stem of a pear is pretty dark. It's more of a dark brown color. So we're going to leave that, just that layer of blue-green color, a little bit darker, and we're just going to lighten up our leaf just a little bit. Yellow gets too covered in green. You can go in, flip your Q-tip over, and use the clean side to add a little bit more yellow in there. Look at my beautiful pear painting. It looks amazing. And you can see that transition from the highlight or the yellow to the middle green color to that blue, which is my shadow, and that creates the illusion of form. Once your painting is dry, I want you to think about what color your work of art is going to look best on. Do you want to mount it on a green construction paper? Go something crazy like purple. Stick with the kind of blue and yellow feel. You could even mount it on a black sheet of paper. I honestly feel like layering a little bit of green and a little bit of black could look really interesting for this work of art. You will get your work of art mounted on your construction paper. Write your name on the back when it's dry. Really, before you start this project, a step I forgot to do. Remember, I always tell you guys I mess up so that you don't have to. Before you even start painting and drawing, flip that sheet of paper over, write your name on the back. Then you're going to set this aside, let it dry, mount it on beautiful construction paper that you select for this project. Flip over the construction paper, write your name on the back of there as well to make sure you don't ever misplace your beautiful Pointillism painting. Now it's your turn to use the primary colors, blue and yellow, to mix together using Pointillism dots to create the secondary color green and the tertiary or intermediate color blue-green and yellow-green to create a beautiful pear painting that looks like it has the illusion of form using those shadows and highlights. Play around with those dots, play around with the shape of your pear, have fun, and happy art making.